How to find meaning in suffering. Imagine this. You've lost everything. Your family, your job, your freedom, your possessions, even your own name, replaced by a number tattooed on your arm. Every day could be your last. And in this absolute hell, you suddenly grasp the most vital truth about life. What is it? I'm about to tell you. Encounter with the abyss. I'll never forget that moment. The railway tracks stretching towards the gates of Auschwitz. The cold, metallic clank of the cattle cars. The shouts of the guards. The barking dogs. And deep in my soul, the horrifying realization, everything that was my life vanished in an instant. No, of course, that wasn't me standing there in 1944. That was a man whose story forever changed psychology and helped millions find meaning in suffering. Viktor Frankl. And today I'm going to take you through his incredible journey, which began with losing everything and ended with one of the greatest discoveries in understanding the human soul. Viktor Frankl, an Austrian neurologist, psychiatrist, and philosopher, was born in Vienna in 1905. By the age of 15, he was already giving lectures on the meaning of life. Think about that. At such a young age, asking a question many dare not ask themselves in an entire lifetime. But the universe had a trial waiting for him, one where this very question would become a matter of survival. The abyss looks back at you. In 1942, already a renowned psychiatrist, Frankl and his wife, Tilly, were deported to the Theresienstadt concentration camp. This was just the first of 4 camps he would endure. Can you even imagine the daily humiliations and tortures? One day, an SS officer ordered him to fill a bucket with water, run with it to a compost heap, and pour the water over its top. The heap was taller than him, and when he couldn't reach the top, the SS man beat him and forced him to repeat the exercise for hours. Eventually, he was dragged back to his barracks with 32 injuries. And do you know what happened that evening? His wife, Tilly, after tending to his wounds, took him to a jazz concert. Yes, in that hell, music sometimes played. Frankl later described it. The contrast between the unspeakable tortures of the morning and the jazz in the evening was typical for our existence, with all its contradictions of beauty and ugliness, humanity and inhumanity. But the worst was yet to come. In the camp, his father died of exhaustion and pneumonia. Later, in Auschwitz, his mother perished, and his wife, Tilly, died in Bergen-Belsen. Everything he loved, everything he knew, was violently stripped away. Now, put yourself in Frankl's position. You've lost everything, absolutely everything. What would you feel? Hatred? Despair? A desire to give up? Many prisoners didn't survive. Frankl observed that among concentration camp inmates, those who endured were precisely those who could connect with some purpose in life, those who could immerse themselves in the imagination of that purpose in their own way, for example, by envisioning a conversation with a loved one. And then something truly astonishing happens. In this hell, in this abyss of suffering, Viktor Frankl makes a discovery that would later revolutionize our understanding of the human soul. The last of the human freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Think about that. Even when everything is taken from you, your property, your loved ones, your dignity, your health, you retain something that no one can ever take away. The freedom to choose your attitude towards what is happening. This is the truth he found. And in this pivotal moment, logotherapy is born. Logos in Greek means meaning. The fundamental principle of logotherapy, the primary motivating force in humans, is their will to meaning. Frankl identified 3 paths by which one can find meaning: by creating something or doing a deed, what we put out into the world; by experiencing something or encountering someone, what we take from the world, by the attitude we take towards unavoidable suffering, how we look at the world. Remember how I talked about the jazz concert after the tortures? That's a perfect illustration of how, even in the most horrific conditions, people can find moments of beauty and meaning. Psychological reactions and the ever-present meaning. Frankl identified 3 psychological reactions experienced by all prisoners to some degree: shock during initial admission to the camp, apathy after becoming accustomed to camp existence, reactions of depersonalization, moral deformity, bitterness, and disillusionment after liberation. But Frankl's profound conclusion transcended these reactions. Life never ceases to have meaning, even in suffering and death. I often think, if Viktor Frankl could find meaning in such inhumane conditions, what is stopping me from finding it in my everyday difficulties? Logotherapy techniques in action. After his liberation, Frankl returned to his profession as a psychiatrist and developed practical logotherapy techniques. One of them is dereflection. Imagine you're trying to sleep night after night, but the more you try to sleep, the more awake you become. Dereflection suggests redirecting your attention away from yourself and towards others or a task. It helps the patient stop being consumed by their anxiety. For example, instead of obsessing over your own performance anxiety, focus on how you can best serve your audience. Another technique is paradoxical intention. Afraid of public speaking? Try to intentionally show your nervousness, even exaggerate it. Paradoxically, this can reduce the anxiety. You become the master of your fear rather than its victim. These techniques are effective not only for treating psychological disorders, but also for increasing overall life satisfaction. And now, let's talk about the most important thing: how Frankl's philosophy of say yes to life can change your life today. Have you ever felt emptiness, a sense of meaninglessness? Frankl called this state the existential vacuum. And this vacuum cannot be filled by the pursuit of pleasure, money, or power. Only the search for meaning can fill this void. Imagine you've lost your job. That's a blow, right? But how would Frankl look at it? Perhaps it's an opportunity to reevaluate your life. Maybe it's a chance to find work that truly aligns with your values, or time to develop new skills, or even to start your own business. Or imagine you're facing a serious illness. Horrible, no doubt, but perhaps it's a chance to reevaluate priorities, to spend more time with loved ones, to fulfill something you always put off for later. See? It's not about what happens to you, but how you react to it. That's the freedom of choice Frankl spoke of. The tragic triad of life. Frankl spoke of the tragic triad of life: inevitable guilt, suffering, and death. We all face them. But even in these circumstances, meaning can be extracted from the attitude we adopt towards the situation. When I first read about this, the depth of this thought struck me. We cannot control everything that happens to us, but we can always control our attitude towards it. This power is yours. The experience of liberation. After his liberation, Frankl described 3 stages of psychological reaction among prisoners: depersonalization, a period of adaptation during which the prisoner gradually returns to the world. Liberated prisoners were so numb that they couldn't grasp what freedom meant. Danger of deformity. When intense pressure on the psyche is removed, mental health can be endangered. Frankl gives an example of a friend who immediately became obsessed with the idea of inflicting the same violence on his tormentors that they had caused him. And bitterness and disillusionment, the discovery that suffering does not end, that the long-awaited happiness does not come. But you know what's truly astonishing? Frankl not only survived all of this, but transformed his pain into something that helped millions of other people. This is what truly transformation of suffering into meaning looks like. Conclusion: your path to meaning. So, my friends, what do I want you to remember from this video? Life is full of suffering, that's a fact. But suffering should not define you. How you respond to suffering, that's what defines you as a person. Each of us faces our own concentration camps, maybe not literal ones like Frankl, but situations that seem insurmountable. Losing a loved one, a serious illness, a career collapse, betrayal. And in such moments, I want you to remember Viktor Frankl and his incredible lesson. Even when all is lost, you retain the freedom to choose your attitude towards the situation. And it is this choice that can fill your life with meaning. So the next time you face a difficulty, pain, or loss, ask yourself, what meaning can I find in this experience? How can I use this trial to become better? How can I transform my suffering into a source of meaning? And remember Frankl's words, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Find your why, and no hardship will break you. But I'm not saying goodbye. Our conversation about finding meaning is just beginning. In the next video, we'll discuss how to practically apply the principles of logotherapy in everyday life, how to find meaning not just in big trials, but in the small moments of every day. Until then, say yes to life, because, as Viktor Frankl proved, life is always worth living. Always.